If you are in a group practice and a clinical supervisor needs to review and sign off on session notes, I'll demonstrate that process here. In order to set this up, you need to have a role of owner or manager, and you'll go to Settings and then Staff. Select the name of the staff member who is going to provide the supervision. Once selected, either scroll down or use the Quick Pick menu on the right and select Supervisees, where you'll be presented with a list of the active providers in the practice. Identify the provider who will be receiving supervision and select Start Supervision on the right. If you need to remove that, you can just go through the same process, come in and say Stop Supervision. It is possible to assign more than one supervisor to a single provider. So let's go ahead and add Chester here as an additional supervisor for IMA intern. Okay. So now both Chester and Susan are supervisors for IMA intern. I'm just going to go ahead and remove that in this case. Okay. Now for the remainder of this video, I am going to use the term intern to indicate the provider or therapist receiving supervision, and supervisor to indicate the provider or therapist giving supervision. Now let's log in as the supervisor in this case. I want to note that in this example, the practice has not given the supervisor any ability to manage the client payments or given access to view calendars. They can only see their own calendar or practice settings. This is a supervisor account in its very most elementary form. Of course, you can give a supervisor as much access to the practice as you wish by going to roles and granting them access. But in this role, if I go to Clients, I can review what I have access to. I have a toggle where I could view my clients. In this case, this supervisor is not have any clients assigned to themselves at all. And if I toggle, I can now see the clients of my supervisees. As the supervisor of this therapist and thus her clients, I have the ability to view the records on any of my supervisees. So I can go to this client, go to Records, review that record. Okay. I can make addendums to the record. I can redact from the record. I can even go ahead and share the record with another provider. I can print the record if I need to do a records release for this patient. Okay. So let's go take a look at the home screen. We will see that there is a session note ready to review under Charts Awaiting Review. The supervisor will select it to read the note that was recently finished by the intern. Now, if they're happy with this note, when they get to the bottom, they could simply say Approve and Lock, and the process is done. Okay. However, maybe they're unable to accept this note as it's currently written, and they would like to let the intern know that they need to do it differently. Okay, so they'll go ahead and enter any notes they want to have. This is instructions for that intern, what they need to do with this note differently. And then they're going to select Return with Feedback on the right. And so now you'll see that note is no longer on the dashboard, and it's back on the intern's dashboard to be concluded. Now the intern will get a notification on their dashboard that they have a note to review and edit. So let's go log in from the intern's perspective. Start fresh with an intern writing a note on a client. So they saw Wilbur Winkle today. They have to write the note, so they're going to select it. They're going to click Start Charting. They're going to create that note in here. We're doing a really fast one in here. And when they get that note done, they can hit the Continue button. This allows them to review that note and select Send to Supervisor. Okay, so that note is now on the supervisor's dashboard screen. Now, we saw earlier that the supervisor returned a note with comments. And as I look at this incomplete chart section as the intern, I can see that I have a couple of notes here that I need to do differently. So I'm going to go ahead and click on top of that note. I'm going to see the note. It says chart feedback at the top, so I'm going to be able to review the note. And the chart feedback that the provider or the supervisor gave me is listed here. Please note that this feedback will not end up in a finished note on the client. This is basically for the intern's eyes only in this case. So for the intern to go ahead and edit the note to meet requirements, they would go to Continue Editing, change the required fields in here, go ahead and go through that same process of continue, okay, and send to supervisor. Okay, so this process can go back and forth on this note as many times as it needs to until the supervisor is happy with the outcome and signs the note. Thank you for watching. Remember to reach out to support@therapyappointment.com if you have additional questions.